Okay, let's move on. Okay, so we will continue with Unit 1 and identify the different ways in which training can be delivered to employees. These are quite self-explanatory from your course notes, so I don't want to spend too much time on these areas as well, but we will revisit them again. So training can be on the job or off the job. For us, we think that on the job means when you are doing the work and then you are learning, but you are still working. Okay, to us, that's what on the job is. But in your course notes, do note that on the job training has got many other versions, not just the ones that we know. And then there's also off the job. Okay, on the job training, okay, helps employees acquire relevant knowledge and skills at work. Training is held at the actual workplace with the actual tools for performing the actual job. So, for example, a production worker, the training will be done at the workplace of the worker on the actual machine while the worker is producing some things. So that's what it is. Okay, there is a mentor or a professional trainer in the field, somebody to show the employee step by step. Okay, so these are considered on the job training. Job rotation, job enlargement and enrichment, coaching and mentoring. Okay, so basically OJT is a very broad term. Do you recall you see this word OJT somewhere for the past few days? Amni, back already?
Yes.
Just now I called you a few times. What happened? Toilet.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, where do you hear the word OJT?
On the job training, is it?
Ah?
The on the job training, is it?
Yeah. We came across this just recently.
Oh, case study, is it?
Very good. Case study. So please, this one, think about this from your case study. Okay, next, off the job, conducted outside the work area. Wide range of training methods. Okay, there are many. We'll look at these training methods. It can be in-house or outside. For example, the courses can be conducted. For me, as a lecturer in ITE, okay, off-the-job training can be I attend a course conducted by ITE HQ, maybe the ITE Academy, or ITE CET training. Not in my office. Nothing to do with my teaching. Okay. Or I can go somewhere else, like When I went for the RPA training, I went to NUS for the training. Okay, and it's conducted by external vendor. And then these are the possible ways that the training can be delivered. Okay, so now let's look at it in detail. Okay, I wanted to do activity, but never mind, let's skip this. If you want, we can come back. We can do this when we meet. Okay, so these are the traditional methods of classroom delivery, of training delivery. Classroom, coaching, mentoring, buddy system, work shadowing, apprenticeship, internship, job rotation, simulation exercise, role play, vestibule training, adventure learning, and AV-based learning. Okay, this is not the sequence it appears in your course notes. So I took the liberty of trying to classify them together so that's easier for you to remember. If you want, I'm going to give you a minute to take a picture. Okay, personal coaching, mentoring, buddy system involves somebody. Work shadowing, internship, and apprenticeship requires you to learn from somebody. Okay, job rotation, that's the word suggests. Simulation exercise, role play, and vestibule training, okay, require some form of simulation. Okay, adventure learning is by itself, and then audio visual. Okay, let's move on and look at this in detail, in a little bit detail. Classroom teaching, I won't go through. Please read. Okay. Personal coaching is on the job. Their supervisor or expert, and it's one-to-one because that's why it's called personal coaching, one-to-one. Mentoring is also one-to-one. Normally, you learn from an experienced person or an older person. There are some criteria to it. So basically, it's a passing of knowledge. You look at my infographic, it's here, okay? From this person to this person, it's a passing of knowledge. This can be structured or not structured. Work shadowing. For example, if I'm a manager in a department, I want somebody. No, wait. Instead of giving you this, I'm sure you all hear of the term acting principal or acting vice principal in your secondary school and primary school. Where, okay, the acting principal and acting vice principal, normally they will follow the actual person. Okay, this is a kind of work shadowing. Wherever the person go, the person shadowing goes. Most probably this person is next in line. Then rotation is another form of OJT, on the job training, usually involves management trainee who moves from job to job. Somebody did job rotation before, let me think. Oh, McDonald's. Shafika.
Yes, sir.
Did you go through job rotation in McDonald's?
Maybe like you do different things like a lot of times.
Different things a lot of times. What do you mean?
I mean like you move from station to station. Yeah, we do that lah. Because
Yeah.
we're from one station, so we need to be aware of our surroundings. So we need to help one another. So we need to go one station to one station.
Okay, that's a kind of job rotation. Yirfan, what other job rotation did you do in McDonald's? Irfan? Never mind, let's move on. Let's hear from staff. Staff was in Shopee. Do you do any job rotation?
Job rotation. I just changed into different departments in the warehouse.
Different departments in the warehouse. Okay, that is a kind of job rotation too. Dania,
Yes.
job rotation? Awa, do you do job rotation? In Awa?
No, I just stick to HR.
Stick to HR. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Christian David?
I never do any job rotation.
Also HR only. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so so there are different kinds of job rotation. I think let's see, Pei other than going from station to station, how were you rotated? How were you involved in the job rotation? Pei you ask somebody else, but yourself, you all don't just do station work, right? McDonald's, you do some other things as well, right? Like, don't you do HR work? Okay. So you all had to do groundwork, and then on the groundwork, you all need to be rotated to learn different stations, and then after that, once you're completed, you did all your tests already, you all move on, the next part of your internship, you all move on to HR work, right? Yeah, you do both, move on to add on. Right, okay, thank you. So that is job rotation, changing of job scope. Okay. Normally, in real life, job rotation happens 3 to 5 years. Like MOE, MOE rotates the principal after every 3 to 8 years. The principal from this school will go to another school and somebody will take over that school. Some of you may experience change in principals when you were studying in primary and secondary school. Okay, so the purpose is to widen exposure and enable trainee to gain general understanding of the entire organization. Like McDonald's, the station's rotation, everybody gets a general understanding of how to do work at each station, at any station, because it's so fast paced, anyone will be asked to take over a certain station. Okay, facilitates direct interaction with a large number of individuals. There are disadvantages. I leave you to read it on your own. Apprenticeship. Did we come across this word apprenticeship recently? Lila?
Yes.
Where do you use apprenticeship?
Is it in the case study as well?
Is it in the case study? Pooja. Pooja, is there? Trisha? Trisha. Xianping?
Yes.
Where did you come across this word apprenticeship?
Uh,
I give you a hint yesterday.
got married yesterday.
Yes. So we're trying to learn the difference between something and something. Christian, go. Christian, go. Nadira?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. Okay, many of you don't remember. Okay, let me repeat this. Apprenticeship is related to training in the old paradigm. In the old paradigm, education and training, they are two separate things, right? And you can get training to become, for example, a master weapon maker via apprenticeship. Okay. So this is like this. So you follow a guided licensed instructor, and then somebody will teach you. Haircut also is by apprenticeship, at least locally. Is to develop special skills. Okay, internship, I won't talk about this, you know about this. Vestibule training, new word. It is a training that tries to simulate the real working condition and equipped with actual production machineries. Okay, but you will need to have extra investment on equipment and people as trainer. Okay, these are some examples. In ITE, the engineering students undergoes vestibule training because we have the actual equipment in ITE. Okay, role play, you all know. Please read this. I'm not going to go through. Adventure learning, for example, Outward Bound or boot camp. This is more for bonding. Buddy system, we all know. We've gone through this in schools. Okay. Audio-visual learning, basically using videos in training session. Like yesterday, I did a quick audio-visual learning. I let you watch a video of Mr. Chan speaking. Okay, there are other ways that I can use AV learning. Let's move on to courses, workshops, and seminars. Okay. These can be held by these four. It can happen in these four areas. Okay, first, professional association, conferences and seminars. Okay, these can provide a lot of information. Okay, we exchange insights. Professional association, right? In the HR context and IT context, it can be conferences or seminars by IHRP, SHRI, Institute of Adult Learning, or ITE conferences. Okay, these are professional associations. It can be a public seminars. For example, you just sign up. Let's see. Joel's company does seminars and quick webinars for the public, right, Joel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these are companies holding some sessions available to anybody to sign up. Whereas just now, that webinar, which I asked you to sign up, it's not for everybody, it's only for IT students. And not for all IT students, but graduating students. Training courses provided by training company. Okay, it is something, it's quite related, but it's a course. Like for example, you go and learn how to use Photoshop. I went to learn about robotic process automation. So it's a course that I attend to gain new skills. Okay, these can be found, okay, the training courses, the reputable ones can be found under SkillsFuture SG. We talked about this yesterday. Let's skip this. But what you need to know is SkillsFuture gives this qualification called Workforce Skills Qualification, WSQ. It is a national qualification. Okay, we will talk about this in Unit 2. WSQ stands for Workforce Skills Qualification. Okay. This question will probably come out in MCQ that will ask you what does WSQ stands for. Okay, please take note. Okay. Executive education seminars. Seminars are like conferences, right? Okay, these are offered by IHLs or business schools targeted at middle and upper level management, not for the majority of the employees, but for people in the management positions. In university, we call it executive education departments. Okay, the universities, the department in university that offers such education, we call it executive education departments. Okay, there's online learning. These are many forms of online learning. I'm going to skip this. You all should be very familiar. Okay. Distance or remote learning. What we are doing now is distance learning. a kind of distance learning, or no, or rather what we're learning now is online learning. Distance learning or remote learning gives you flexible schedule. For example, if you sign up for courses in Coursera, let you learn at your own pace. Okay, video conferencing, we should be very familiar now. Web-based seminar and webinar. Webinar, you are going to, okay, web-based seminar, we call it webinar. It's a lecture, a presentation, a seminar, a workshop that is transmitted via video over the web. We can have discussion. I can give you live updates. It is not pre-recorded. There are interactions. Okay, there are some webinar software. This one you take a look by yourself. Okay, you can read this on your own as well. Okay. Mobile learning. LinkedIn has it. An example would be LinkedIn Learning and TEDx. You are able to use your mobile devices like your cell phone, your laptop, and iPads to learn. You don't have to be there. It's basically at your fingertips. Okay, video-based learning is another kind of learning which you should be very familiar with. You like to watch YouTube, right? And game-based learning is a kind of experiential learning. We learn by doing, by having fun. Adventure learning is a kind of game-based learning. Team bonding with amazing race, that is game-based learning. Okay, turning learning into a challenge. Okay, like for example, having competitions. That's a kind of game-based learning. Okay, you can read this on your own. There's also virtual reality. These are the kind of training that they use. Driving. Seeing, you just went for a driving test, right? Seeing. Seeing, are you there? Okay, anyone is taking driving test now? I want to find out more.
Hi, yes.
Yes. Do you go for the VR exam?
Yes.
Okay, so how is it like? Can you describe and let the class know?
Very scary.
Why? VR, no?
No, because like we have to do the driving simulator, right?
Uh-huh.
So like I think like mostly think I mean I feel like everyone think it's like same as arcade kind, but then it's very different because it really takes you on the road, then you have to drive like it like they will then you can experience driving under the rain also.
Okay,
There are
so
a lot of road hazards also.
it's like real lah.
Yeah.
Okay. So virtual reality is so Siying going for the test is part of her training and development also. So the driving VR exam is newly implemented. I think sometime last year or this year, sometime last year only. Basically, it's as real as it gets, except that you're not on the road. So you need to pass that before they put you on the road for the safety of yourself and others. So these are the advantages. Mimics real life situation. They have interactive scenario and immersive training. Like what Siying say, it's like as though like you're on the road. There are hazards and there are things ongoing. And then you don't have to worry about real world consequences. You can go ahead and learn. Then, another advantage. Okay, these are some of the advantages. You can read it by yourself. Okay, definitely making training enjoyable and entertaining. Okay, this is a study. Okay. So read. Okay, blended learning. Anytime a student learns, at least in part, in class or through online delivery, with the students' control over time, place, pace, or path. For example, I give you a video link. I used to give you a video link to watch last semester, and then I tell you in class we'll talk about it. Okay, so that is a kind of blended learning. I ask you to watch it at your own time, but then we'll discuss it the following week when we meet in class. That's a kind of blended learning. Blended means, mix. Okay? Okay, these are some advantages. Okay, I will skip Howard Gardner. I will conduct an activity with this. For now, I'm going to skip. Okay, what I need you to do is, there are 7 intelligences. I want you all to pick what you want. First come, first serve by shouting out to me now. We will do this in class next week.
Group 4 musical.
Okay.
Group 5 interpersonal.
Okay.
Group 2 interpersonal.
Group 1.
Huh?
Group 2.
This one.
Yeah.
Group 6 visual.
Okay.
Group 1 linguistic.
Okay. Group 5 again. Group 1. Linguistic group.
Group 1.
Okay.
Group 3
Group 7 bodily kinesthetic.
7. That's group 3. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So I want you next week in class to teach the class what is the learning styles that you have chosen. I'm going to give each group 20 minutes. Per group. Maximum 20 minutes per group. Okay, so I leave it on how you want to teach the class. It can be an activity related to your intelligence, or you can just talk about it. Okay, we can do it on Wednesday. Definitely not Monday. Get it ready by Tuesday. Okay. Okay, next, there is this 70, 20, 10. I will do an SDR activity for this one. Okay, let's skip this. Okay, we finally finished this. We will move on to describing how organizations identify their training needs. This is related to the first part of your group project. Okay, first part. That is the training needs survey and training needs analysis. Whereas this part is related to your recommendation and programs. Okay, clear so far? Okay, let's go on to see how organizations identify their training needs. Okay, let's skip this. Okay, this is the training management process. You need to know this process. First, you do the training needs assessment, then you recommend the training courses, then you do the training follow-up and evaluation. Training needs assessment is where you do your training needs analysis, training needs survey, and the training needs analysis. Then you find the gap. Then you suggest training courses to address the gap that you found. From these training courses that you suggest, you need to find funding. Then the funding for the course, then you send the employees for the course, then you do a follow-up and you do an evaluation. That is where your post-training evaluation comes in, and then your post-training analysis, which you are required to come up with 3 conclusions and 3 recommendations. So keep that in mind. So basically, this is a summary of your report. Organizations identify needs by doing a training needs assessment. We call it training needs analysis, which consists of a survey and then analysis. Okay. This is the process to identify the training needs for the purpose of improving employees' job performance. Normally, we focus on specific competencies. Okay. Training needs analysis is a general term for this. Planning process to collect information, analyze data, and create a plan for future actions. There are various methods, but we are going to focus on just one or two. This is how you conduct training needs analysis. First, these are the 4 steps. Okay, we'll look at each step in detail. We set the analysis in context. Okay, this refers to the organization's business plan, which spells its goals and objectives. The training department should clarify the specific training needs, and then the training must serve a business need and be aligned to business results. Okay, question. Did your case set your context for you? Valerie?
Yes.
Did the case study set the context for you?
Yes.
Where?
Yeah. Like the background.
The background only? I asked you all to do something, right? Yesterday you all did a presentation, remember?
Yeah.
So yesterday's presentation, what I did was I helped you all to come up with the context for your TNA already. So clear? So your TNA should base on that 6 columns. Okay? Clear, everyone? Ufa? Ufa? Puja? Still not around, Puja. Christian Go?
Yep.
Do you hear what I said just now about the context?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What we did yesterday, the 6 columns.
Was to help us, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that the presentation that you all did yesterday, that should set your context for your case study, yeah?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, next, after your context is set, you determine the needs. Your case also talk about needs. Okay. So these are the questions that you need to think before coming up with the training needs survey. When you determine needs, you need to know what are the attitudes, skills, or knowledge. We call this ask, required to support the business objectives or needs. For example, one of the skills we talked about in the case that many of you presented is language, English language. So that is a skill, English language skill. So that is the skill needed to support the business to do well. Okay. We can also think of, after doing the needs analysis, we can also see if the employee is suitable for the job. Okay. What about non-training issues? We talked about this yesterday. Then we need to develop the training requirements. What is the topic? What type of training? Who are the trainees? How big should the class be? When should the training be conducted? And so on, and what's the budget? These are the considerations. Basically, this is the consideration. The training requirement. Most important is the budget. Then you need to source for training program within the company's budget. So after the company gives you a budget, you need to source for it. Okay. Why? For example, you know your employee needs training in English language. There are many different vendors doing it. Each charge at a different price. We all know there are reasons for the different price, right? Because different organization, right? If you go to SMU, it's definitely more expensive than maybe you go to Singapore Poly. But because there is a budget given to you, you need to work within the budget. You can't send everybody for the most expensive one because your budget may not permit it. Therefore, with all the training, you need to optimize. You need to ensure that everybody gets a chance to go. So you need to choose something that is maybe within the budget and can suit the needs of your company. So in order to do that, right, we will normally receive proposal and evaluate them. We will tell this vendor, we need this. Can you give us proposal? And then after that, we will have to also check for reference before we make our consideration. Okay, so this part is required for you in your report because you need to justify why you choose that particular program. Okay, so these are the 4 steps. Set the TNA in context. After that, we discover the needs. Then we develop the training requirement. Most importantly, there's a budget. Then we source for the training program within the budget and within our requirements. Okay, you don't need to know this. But you can read it just for your info. Okay. You need to know this because this is in your report. Okay, this is a key process in administration of training needs analysis. Especially for large organizations with very large headcount, we will need to do this properly. If a small organization, you can still use pen and paper. But big organizations, normally we do online. Because we will need to track specific learning needs. So online will be much better. Okay, so this is part of your in-course assessment. Okay. you will need to develop and administer the training needs survey. Okay, this is the development phase. You don't need to know in detail. You just need to know that there's a phase. Okay. There are also different kinds of survey ratings. We'll skip this for now. Let's just look at them. Likert scale is one of them. It's five level rating. Like this. You have, for your teaching effectiveness survey, you have witnessed how the Likert scale is used. Okay. It is normally 5 point, negative to positive responses. Okay, but because people tend to go for neither agree nor disagree, the central one, it is suggested that if we want meaningful gradation, okay, we go for a satisfaction scale, 1 to 6. So people cannot choose the middle. Okay, this is also a kind of satisfaction scale, 1 to 10. Because it tells you that if you are 8, you know that, okay, it's 80% helpful. You know, it gives you some idea of how big or small it is. So if I change this to strongly disagree and strongly agree, with the 8, I know that, okay, more towards strongly agree, 80%. Whereas if somebody is a 2, you know it's very close. It's not strongly disagree, but close to it. Not so good. You know, we know the degree of goodness or bad. Employee opinion survey is another word for training needs survey. Because you also use it to identify training needs and determine focus, you ask employees' opinion, which is what you're doing. Okay. The report, okay, the analysis of your opinion survey or your training needs survey must have qualitative and quantitative analysis. Okay, a good survey must have both. Of course, you cannot have all qualitative because you are going to have difficulty analyzing it. There should at least be one qualitative question. It need be. Okay. So when you analyze, okay, the second part of your report, after you have the survey questions, you need to analyze the responses that you collect or you create. Okay, you need to use visual aids like graphs and charts to present. This will help us in understanding. I'm sure by now you are exposed to how to use charts for your presentation and reporting. So I'm going to leave it to you. Okay, these are the different visual tools available: bar charts, pie chart. Okay, these are the two most common ones: bar charts and pie chart. Of course, there are others. Okay, but I leave it to you to decide on what you want to use that will best suit the group, the needs of your group. We'll skip this because this is covered in Unit 2. Okay. So basically, when you identify training, there are two sets of skills. Okay. Do you remember seeing this before I move on? Nuraisha?
So this,
Sorry?
you say, where do we see this, is it?
Yep.
Skills and competencies. You mean in this course, is it? Or the previous course?
Previous one.
Previous one.
Mm.
Maybe like RNS lah, like skills and competencies.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, we talked about this briefly in RNS under skills and competencies. Technical means related to the job. Generic means you can use it in other job or other industry. Basically, that's it. Okay, just remember that for now. Okay. And then training. There are 5 broad areas. Okay, so your analysis here from your survey, you should be able to analyze and then come up with 5 broad training that falls in these 5 broad areas. And we all know there are also 3 levels. Please read the details. Okay. Now we have completed this. I will continue this later. Okay, so these are the 5 broad areas. Okay, the case study already determined for you which are the areas. You just have to ensure that your survey questions allows you to have analysis towards the areas determined in your case. Okay? Because here the analysis, you are being marked on how relevant are the analysis to the given case. Okay, so please remember, you need to look at the case. So your presentation which you did yesterday, okay, look at it again to ensure that you're on the right track after you've done it, after you've done the analysis. Okay? Okay, if you have no question, I will see you at 1 o'clock. Okay, go for your lunch. I will see you at 1 o'clock. I want to finish up Unit 1 because Unit 1 is very important for your report. Okay? All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.